Everything from overlanding in your stock rig to full-on LS-powered 2 buggies on stickies. This is the Total Offroad Podcast. I'm your host, Steve.
And I'm Ian, and we are here for the best episode yet.
Is that so?
It's episode 43.
Oh,
I run 43s, bro.
You know what?
It's a sticky-sode.
It's a sticky-sode. I was going to say this would have been a good episode to bring Sticky back.
I thought
didn't
about that earlier, and I was like, oh, he's going to be mad because he didn't get the sticky-sode.
Sticky-sode. Maybe we'll bring it back for the 50th.
The 50th sode?
Yeah, 50s are sticky. No? You don't think so?
I mean, I don't own any, so
Well,
I'm just saying.
but they're sticky.
Yeah,
I don't know any 50s that aren't sticky.
but like, I just don't know.
There are 43s that are not sticky.
There are. Sorry
So-
about your life.
But you're right. 43 is the sticky-sode.
Yep.
Anyway, nonetheless, welcome back to episode 43. Let's get a party started. What do you know?
Let's get it started. I know
Your
I'm about
week
to
was
light my shit
garbage.
on fire.
My week was pretty good. I made a lot of progress. We have a bunch of, not a bunch, cool new stuff. So you've sold a few things on Teespring?
Yes, we sold a few things on
Nice.
Teespring.
Nice. We got some premium merch over there. Everything we have in our merch selection on Teespring is all premium. Ian let me know that. I did not know that.
Yep.
Till he told me. So we only have the premium selection. We dropped our margins on that so that the premium's more affordable because I don't feel like buying the low buck shirts.
It was
is worth
let's be frank with the listeners.
yeah, they're our listeners.
It was a few dollars more
For
the
premium?
premium level, like
Mhm.
quality merchandise, like the
Right.
t-shirts that I would buy and want to wear.
Mm-hmm.
Same with the hoodies and the zip ups, everything. So nothing is of the like cheapest quality.
Yeah, right.
It's all their like premium brand.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember it off the top of my head, but that was like
Whatever it was.
shit that I would legitimately buy and wear myself.
Right.
Because we've all bought shitty t-shirts for too much money and went, well, I'm not ever going to wear that because it is uncomfortable for a dish rag.
Not sidetrack. I love off-road outfitters,
Mhm.
like all their designs. I hate that their quality is not quite as high as I would like it to be.
Yep.
Our trail rider shirts that we stock, I don't know
They're not trail rider
why.
shirts.
Not trail riders. Our TOP.
You drunken bastard.
Maybe someday.
Yeah.
Our TOP shirts that we stock.
Yep.
They're super high quality. Like
Yep.
I've washed them over a dozen times. The ink is still as good as new. It looks like new. The red's still super vibrant and everything else. And then I get my shirt, my Jackstand, my XJ Jackstand shirt.
Mhm.
So I guess the first shirt I got was the one the wife got me for my birthday.
Mhm.
Was the XJ like build
Yep.
spec shirt. And the bottom of the shirt itself, where the hem is on the bottom, on the backside, first wash came undone.
Yep.
I'm like, seriously? She called them up. Now, the good side is she hit them up on like sent an email or whatever. They sent a new shirt free.
Yeah, which
Like,
is
okay,
nice.
send a new one.
Yep.
Like, which is great because it's like a $28 shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I ordered the Jackstand shirt because I'm like, that's a dope like shirt. Like that is the XJ life living on Jackstands. Like I live that life until now.
Yep.
And so I ordered that shirt, washed it one time. The ink is so thick on the XJ itself that it's actually starting to break up.
Mm-hmm.
So the red now looks like it's like patinaed.
Yep.
I don't hate it, but I feel like for a $28 shirt,
It matches your XJ.
it does. Yeah. Maybe that's the design. Like put a little extra ink on there so it'll patina up pretty quick and it'll
Yes.
match XJ. But I feel like for a shirt of that cost,
Mhm.
of that all-in cost, I feel like the ink should hold up a little better.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, we're not here to like become buku dollar rich.
No, just want to get it out there.
But I just want to get merch out there, but I don't want to put out shit products.
I know, yeah.
That was what we did with the flags. I bought some.
Put out shit products.
Yeah, I put out shit products. Those things won't even make it in shipping.
I haven't even looked at one yet.
Oh, really?
Uh-uh.
So what I did is I ordered some before we offered them for sale or even said anything about them. And they're in the box on the floor there. They're all packed up to go to the Badlands next weekend. The clear box.
Where?
Yeah.
Where?
Oh no, the trail flags are in the bag. Go in the bag. That bag. One of the two bags there. But I ordered some samples because I didn't want to sell a junk flag, and we've all bought that before. We've all bought t-shirts that were junk. So everything on Teespring is the premium line. Good quality stuff, but we sold a few things. There's some hoodies and zip ups, regular hoodies. There's some, we're going to do some like different logo or different saying t-shirts that we're not going to stock. Because, what I did is I just dropped the profit margins down so it was the same price.
Yeah.
I'm selling them at the same price, but you're getting the premium shirt. I'm just making less on them per shirt.
Works for me.
Which, yeah, we're just trying to get merch out there and get the name out there and build it up. So
just get merch in your hands.
Steve's touching it. So somebody's getting a fondled flag.
Oh, this is mine. I'm taking home with me.
Are you? Just make sure you pay for that on totaloffroadpodcast.com.
Okay. Hold on. Get on right now and order it. www.totaloffroadpodcast.com.
This comes out. What does this come out? Tuesday?
Tuesday.
There is still time. And I'm looking directly at you.
Okay.
Not you. I'm at the listener.
Yes. But you are looking directly at me.
I'm treating you like a listener. Right?
Okay.
There have been a few people that have bought flags, t-shirts, whatever. There's a pickup option on the website.
Oh,
so if we're going to an event future down the road or this Badlands trip next weekend, just go on there, pay for it. You can use PayPal, credit card, whatever, you can got endless options of payment.
Mm-hmm.
And then just select customer pickup and leave a note
and or cash.
Yeah.
For that matter.
I will take cash.
COD.
But just go on there. That takes it out of our inventory because I do go in and track all the inventory.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I don't want to sell somebody something we don't have.
Yeah, right.
That's a dick move.
Especially on shirts because those take a minute to get in.
Well, anything. We've all been there too. So
right.
you're like, oh, sorry, we don't have it. You're like, damn it.
I know.
I want it more now.
I want it more, but less.
Yeah, but now I'm not going to pay for it. I want it for free now. So I track the inventory that way. So anytime we give out stuff or whatever, I go in there and adjust stuff. So you can do that. You can go buy it and pick delivery or customer pickup or whatever you want to call it. That's all I got with that.
Cool. If you're not on Facebook on the Trail Riders page, you should go check it out. Facebook. Facebook. I think it is. I mean, facebook.com/
It is.
Total Offroad
Podcast
Trail
Trail Riders.
Riders.
You can't get to Facebook.
But yeah, anyway, on Facebook, search Total Offroad Podcast Trail Riders. You'll find it.
Answer the questions.
Answer the questions. Ian says answer the questions. Some of you have been listening and you have done that.
Yeah. That's all you got to do.
Next up is our Patreon page that we've recently kind of come back to and has been gaining traction. We cannot thank you guys enough. We've announced the 4 of you last week that were already on Patreon, had already jumped on. We have 5 more patrons that jumped on last week after the episode. And thank you guys so much. You're helping fund this podcast and keep it going. Not that we're going to quit doing it, but it takes a little load off the shoulders when you have a little bit of money coming back in to pay for the things that are going out every week or every month.
It opens me up to buying more merch.
Yeah, it does.
I love researching new merch opportunities because I don't want to buy like dumb shit. I'm getting cool stuff.
Yeah. You want some bottle openers?
Those bottle openers, if I can make them work,
I'm ready.
Pimp.
So the new patrons are Kevin Ramirez. Thanks, buddy. Corey O'Malley. Appreciate it. Full-size gift from a full-size guy.
Just call him fat. I mean, we had a conversation about how he's into full sizes, but like the way that came out,
if I remember right, I feel like
he's a
full-size guy.
Damn, bro.
I feel like if I remember right, he's got a full-size Chevy pickup. We're trying to get you some more full-size content. We'll see if that works. Kyle Mang. I know I'm saying that right now that you have told me because at first I thought it was Ming. I'm not sure why. But either way, David Julius, thank you, sir, for your patronage. And Luke Daughtry, thank you also. So between all of you guys, we really appreciate it. And you guys are keeping this podcast going. What else? If you want to join Patreon, go check it out. www.total. Jesus.
Good Lord.
You should put that. Why not put a link on the website?
I will. I'm actually
do that.
This is this week plan to get our discount codes and Patreon and basically do like a link page on the web
on the website. Yeah. Yep. To all the partners and people we've dealt with.
TotalOffroadPodcast.com.
Yeah. And then we'll try to hopefully have that up there. Otherwise, patreon.com/ Total Offroad Podcast. What else you know? Okay. So you've had, I think that's all of our things.
The new news.
The new
Trail Riders run this weekend.
Oh yeah, this weekend. If you can make it, come to the Badlands for the Trail Riders run. A couple people will be there on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday is the official run. You're welcome to join in anytime. I know we've got a few people coming from kind of all over the place. If you can't make it, no big deal. We're going to have more runs in the future. So we'll be able to plan them out a little more. Hopefully, not that this one wasn't planned well, because it was. It's just like, it feels like it's last minute because my shit was in pieces and yours was in pieces.
Mine wasn't in pieces until I took it apart.
It was fully functioning.
Like last week, I said I had no, like, I'm like, oh, yeah, I feel like I'm forgetting something, but what do you do?
Yeah,
all I had to do was put my axle shafts in. So shout out to Brannick Motorsports.
There you go.
Stan was who I dealt with over there.
Took good care of you,
bro.
Yeah.
I told you the other day when I first ordered them, I said I was a little leery because it was less than a 4-minute phone conversation.
In, out, good to go.
Like, I could recite you the whole phone conversation quicker than I can paraphrase it.
Yeah.
But long story short, it was, this is what I need. All right, ask for the measurements. I already had the measurements because I'd already talked to Brandon on how to, you know, how he wanted me to measure them. So I already had the measurements, already had the seal diameter, how far in the seal mounted, on the shaft, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So I already had everything. So I just like, ask, tell, credit card, thank you.
Damn.
I got off the phone and was like, what? Fucking didn't
Hope that was
ask
right.
how much those cost. I knew what the price of the shafts were. I just like tax, shipping, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
what's my total?
Whatever.
Yep.
And he told me, he's like, yeah, we should get them out by the end of the week. That was Tuesday. So we should get them out by the end of the week. We'll send you, ask for my email. So we'll give you a tracking and an invoice once we get it done and get the fuck out of here. It was great.
Wow.
I love it. So long story short, Monday, axle shafts come in.
Yep.
Tuesday, axle shafts are installed.
Yes.
Tuesday, my life goes to shit. So
I don't understand how your axle shafts can get installed and then your life goes to shit.
I'm
okay,
going to tell
we're
you.
good. Yep.
But I just want to get out of the way first.
I feel like we're going backwards on it.
Brannick, literally, everybody else is like, oh, we're like 3 or 4 weeks out, blah, blah. Yeah, whatever. 4340, custom length axle shafts.
Done.
Ordered, cut, shipped, arrived 6 days. Not business days, 6 days. Tuesday to Monday.
Jesus.
I had them installed Tuesday.
It's awesome.
Stupid.
Very. Considering some of the other like timelines you've had in this process, that's impressive.
Yep.
Like, do they just have them sitting on the shelf, I assume?
They're custom length. So they have to cut them and spline them, and then they machine down the shaft where the seal rides.
Really?
So that's what I mean. Like, it's not like an off the shelf. The outers are a stock 60 outer.
Right. But still
4340.
Yeah, but the inners
stub. But the inners are a custom length, like splined.
Do you think that they're like that they have like different lengths with splines already on them and they just cut them down? Or do you think that they actually spline them?
How would you know? I mean, like the splines look just like that. They're that long.
Really?
Yeah.
Like 2 inches.
It's not like it's like
spline.
4 inches of the shaft or
really?
Spline. It looks like a factory shaft with the splines cut.
I feel like we need to have them on here to talk about that. Like, how do you guys turn out a custom shaft in
They get shit
4
done,
days?
bro. And he said they were busy.
Yeah, I bet. With a return, with a turnaround like that, I would be too.
Said, we really appreciate your business. I said, well, ain't no problem because you come so highly recommended. I couldn't go anywhere else.
All right.
But yeah.
I like it.
So
there's your shout out.
Got my shafts in, installed,
then
put it all together, put the brakes back on, hubs back on, spindles back on, you know, everything, calipers back on, ready to go. And was like, fucking sweet, done. And then I go to start spinning the ring gear because I still got the cover off from when I put the carrier back in after welding it. And it spins, and it stops spinning.
Yeah. Oh.
Yep.
Why did it stop spinning?
Well, if I knew, I'd tell you.
Okay.
So I put my foot on the ring gear to keep spinning it. No bueno.
You still can't spin it?
No.
It's that tight.
That tight.
I'm very confused. Okay, so wait, did it have preload? The carrier did not have a lot of preload.
The first time I backed up. I went to go spin it and I'm like, oh yeah, the front axle is not in neutral.
Okay.
On the transfer case. So I'm like, no problem. Cool. Walk over there, fuck around, get that in neutral, done. and then the whole spin, no spin.
Huh.
So I'm like, is there something
binding?
Oh, the transfer case pop back in gear. Fuck around with that. Nope. Is there something in the 2-piece front drive line that's binding? Okay, I'll unhook the drive. Pull the drive line off at the pinion.
Yeah.
Nope. Okay. Is there something with the axle shafts binding in something? You know, like is the axle shaft?
So you had it completely reassembled hub to
hub. Oh,
hub.
bro, it was ready to put tires on the raw door.
Oh, damn.
So then I'm like, well, I wonder if the axle shaft, like the yoke on the shaft, is
it's
hitting
binding or
something in the sea or whatever.
Look in there.
Nope. Okay. So pull the brakes, pull the hubs, pull everything all back apart. Pull the shafts back up. Like I had the fucking slugs in and everything, caps on and everything.
Yeah.
Pull everything back apart, pull the shafts out, and then do the same thing, and it'll spin, and then quit spinning. And I'm like, okay.
So we got an issue with the carrier ring gear setup or something.
Pulled the carrier back out, looked at it, didn't see anything wrong with it, didn't see any gaps or anything, and went, okay, maybe I just set something up wrong. Yeah. Put it back in, set it all up again with backlash and same thing. And it seemed that once I would get the backlash under, I think spec is 8 to 15 or something like that.
Okay.
8 to 13 or whatever. Once I would get under 25 or 25,000 ballpark. So, I mean, because it's got the threaded adjusters on the 14 bolt. So you can thread it in. So you can loosen one side a hole, tighten one side a hole, and you can just progressively move it in while checking it.
Right.
So you could kind of keep an eye on it coming in. Once I'd get into that mid-20s, that's when it would start getting tight. But obviously
only in one spot.
Yeah.
As you rotate it.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at it and it's probably like a 4 or 5 inch section of ring gear that it would get tight through. It's not like dunk, and then back it off. It was like it gets progressively and then tight and then, loosens back up. So it's probably, because I ended up marking it, and it's probably 5 or 6 inches of ring gear that it would get tight through. So I was like, well, clearly something's got to be binding. I was like, well, to be fair, I've never set this axle up. I bought it out of a truck, pulled it in the garage, cut it up, built a 14-bolt steer axle out of it. This is the first time I'm putting, the gears were in it, but there was no drive shaft or any of that shit when we went to Oklahoma, so I didn't worry about it.
Yeah.
This is the first time I didn't even have diff fluid in it because I had no inner axle seals because I had no shafts. So this is the first time I've put drive shafts, anything in this carrier and pinion.
So presumably it's been this way the whole time?
Yeah.
Its entire life? That's weird.
But I've never done anything with this axle, so I didn't know. So then, where are we at in this story?
You're trying to figure out why it's binding.
I was like, I'm intrigued on if it's in the carrier or if it's in the pinion chunk.
Right.
And I was like, to be fair, I did pull the stock yoke off and put a 1410 forged yoke on.
Okay.
And just ugga-dugga it back tight. So where it was about the same. So I'm like, I think my pinion preload, maybe that's off. Binding something up or whatever. So I pull that out, find a 1/4 inch bar style torque wrench, blah, blah, blah. Pull it apart. And I was like, I probably should just put a new crush sleeve in it. Cause I was like, I've always heard the pinion nuts need to be replaced.
Yeah.
Those are a top block pinion nut. I was like, I think I couldn't remember if I put the new seal in or not, but I was like, you know what? Fuck it. For a few bucks, I'll buy a seal.
Yeah.
So went to the parts store on Friday, bought a seal, bought crush sleeve, bought a pinion nut. Well, that shit didn't come in until Saturday morning.
Jesus.
So I was like, okay, what can I do in the meantime? Well, I can pull the carrier out. I took that in, put it in the press, or I pulled it all apart, cleaned everything up again, made sure there was nothing between the carrier case house, nothing between the ring gear and the carrier, nothing. Cleaned all that up, put it all back in, put it in the press, because the last time when I blew it apart to weld it, I just fucking put it in the vise and kind of tapped her down slowly with a breast punch, and then sucked it the rest of the way and torqued it and have a nice day. I was like, okay, this is my sign. I will do things the right way.
I have listened to a gear install guy.
Now I know.
Yep.
I will do it the right way.
It's the worst, isn't it?
That sucks.
Yeah.
So I put it in the press, put all my bolts in. I did a three-step torque sequence on it.
Yep.
Blah, 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 blah. Go home and try that. Same shit. And then
did you rotate the ring gear at all? Or do you know? Rotated
it twice at this point.
Really?
180 both times. Well, 180 the first time, then a little bit, about a quarter 90. Turn or so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then that's when I decided to check pinion preload.
Pinion preload or run out?
Preload.
Oh, okay. So you did all this, and then you're like, okay,
I forgot
something else wrong. Okay.
So I fucked around with the carrier, thinking it was in the carrier.
Yeah. And then
wasn't
you're like,
that. Then I went to the pinion chunk.
Okay.
So that was Friday. Parts didn't show up till Saturday. Get my parts in 7:30 on Saturday morning.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get them all put in, torque them down. I get my preload right in the spec. Spec was like, I don't know what the fuck spec was, but it was on
20,
the,
25 inch pounds
mid range of that. And keep in mind, these are all used bearings, so they're not, if they're close to spec, I'm happy with them for a used bearing.
Yeah.
They're GM factory gears. So as far as I know, they've never been replaced. So we're not talking about an aftermarket gear that's, needs reset up. This is a factory 14 bolt 410 gear. So I get it all put back in. Same shit. I start running into, high backlash to get it to run and mesh real good. And of course I've set up 14 bolts. That's all I've ever really had. I've never fucked with, I fucked with my 44 ones and then just threw it all away and bought new gears.
Yeah.
No, I never did.
Well, come on now.
Because I
make up your
threw
mind.
It out in the back.
So you don't. You like.
So all I've ever done is 14 bolts. I helped Derek with his 60 when we did that. Me and him did that in the garage here. So I was around for that. But otherwise, it's all been 14 bolts.
Right.
So I can kind of ballpark backlash. Like, I don't know. I do this shit for a living too. So it's like, oh yeah, it's got a little play. You start to kind of get familiar with what a little play is.
Yeah.
And like, that seems high. You'd check it and you're like 25,000. And you're like, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So you'd start kind of doing it by feel and sound.
Get it till she's close.
And I told Brian, because I've been talking back and forth with Brian. I was like, dude, this backlash just sounds loud. And he's like, I've never set it up based on sound. And I'm like, no, but like if you hear this, you would know that this is too much backlash. So then, measured it and got the spec on it and was like, yeah, it's too high. So couldn't get it. Just could not get a good tight backlash without it binding. So pulled it apart again because I was doing some internet research because he said measure runout.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, good idea. So we measured runout. You just take dial indicator
off the backside of the ring gear.
On the back, like they have that little lip on the backside of the ring gear, and you just spin that. And you start seeing, and the way I've always measured runout on anything is you're going to see that dial indicator go, like if you pick a number, like we'll say 0.
Yeah.
If you start that at 0, it's going to go above and it's going to go below 0.
Right.
It's going to measure your highs and your lows.
Right.
So you have to take the center average of the high and the low.
Right.
And that's your runout.
Okay.
Whether that's right or not, I don't fucking know, but that's how I've always done it. So do that a few times, do it a few more times, make sure you get a consistent measurement on it.
Right.
And I was running into high runout.
Did you pull the pinion back out for this?
Yeah, the pinion. Yeah, you just pull the pinion chunk out and then you just sit there and spin the ring gear.
Yeah.
Yep. So now I know my pinion preload is in spec.
Okay.
Now I know, and pattern wise, it looked fine. It's not like it's real deep in the gear. It's not on the edge of the gear. It's not on the toe or the heel. It's just a very used gear. Like there you go pattern. You know what I mean? So, and you could inspect that and see that tooth is not full contact inside, like the gear mesh is so tight you can't spin it. It looks normal, and the pattern showed it looked normal. It just was binding. So measuring runout, you would see that runout would change. Let me look this up because I don't remember that there was so many freaking numbers. Like it was like you were trying to remember these numbers, and I had to start writing stuff down because I was like, I cannot keep remembering all of these numbers.
So you ran.
So I would run into about, because then I turned the ring gear again after starting to do run out. So the first time I checked run out, I was in the
Yes.
Yeah. 8 to 9 thousandths run out.
Okay.
That's so you would see an 8 or 9 thousandths
swing
change from like one spot to the other spot. That's not 8 thousandths total. That's an 8 thousandths swing from low to high.
Yeah.
Which is a fuckload.
Yeah.
So then spec on.
Just makes no sense. Did you do the run out on the carrier as well?
You can't really check. I mean, it's
too much stuff in the way.
Bolted and torqued to the ring gear. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you're essentially measuring them both at the same time.
Right.
But spec on a fucking drive line, because I do remember this, spec on a drive line from Spicer is less than 3 thousandths run out. That Spicer said is the ideal, like, thing. It's like 3 or 5,
right?
Maybe.
Somewhere in that
So 8 thousandths is like, whoa.
Yeah.
So I pulled it all back apart again, blew the carrier back apart, cleaned everything back up, found a guy on the internet that said, take the carrier, not the carrier, take the, for the love of lords,
the ring,
the little gears inside the fucking
orb
thing. Yeah. What are those gears
spider
called?
Gears
Spider gears. Take the spider gear. I was like, I cannot think of what the name of this thing is. Take your spider gear shims out.
Okay.
There's a shim on each spider gear inside that carrier. It's welded together. It doesn't fucking move anyway, so it doesn't need shims. It's going to stay
in there
as one where it's at,
because it's kind of like a bearing shim.
Yeah,
it's like a bearing surface.
It's just like a bearing shim.
It's a bushing technically.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like they ride on it.
It doesn't eat into the carrier that way. It's a different hardened metal.
Yep.
But take those out because it doesn't matter because it's
not
going anywhere.
Yep.
So I consulted my gear expert and he said, "Oh yeah, definitely no problem. Pull them out, throw them in the dumpster." Cool. So pulled it all back apart, pulled all those out, cleaned everything up, wiped it all down. This thing's been like surgically cleaned like 4 times. And put it all back together, turned the ring gear in the process of that too, while it was apart. 3 sequence torque specs, like I was going full 9, like everything.
Make it right, yeah.
So put it all back in and ended up with about 4 to 5 thousandths of run out.
That's much better.
It's about half.
Okay.
So something made a difference.
Yes.
Whether it was turning it, putting something together wrong, the shims, whatever.
Who cares?
It's cutting. It's half.
You change so much at one time. It's hard to say.
So theoretically, because I wasn't blowing that fucking thing apart like it. Oh, okay. I put it together this way. All right. Now I want to take it apart again to turn it one, because you could still have something torqued down different.
Yep.
Just because it's torqued doesn't mean it's flush. He did suggest putting, if I had like granite countertop or any of that shit, which I post, so I don't. I just put it on my steel workbench, which is flat enough. There was no rocking or anything in the carrier halves or the ring gear. So,
but you're talking about thousandths of an inch.
Yeah. So I mean, nothing.
You're talking about a hair.
Nothing that I would see, but again, with the way it was measured, it was like, okay, cool.
Like your hair, your hair is 2 thousandths of an inch. If it's got 2 hairs. How clean of a surface, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. So like it was kind of a checked it and didn't see anything, but it was really kind of a bullshit test anyway.
Yeah.
So whatever. Put it all back together with 180 and those shims and everything removed, and it was down to like about 4 or 5 thousandths of run out. Went through, put the pinion back in, torqued the pinion back down. Went to go through and set up backlash and to see how well. I'm like, well, if I have half as much run out, I should be able to get twice as much backlash removed before it binds. And that was the case. So right now I'm down to backlash. So spec and I'm checking it in about 5 or 6 spots. I'll go every like 2 or 3 inches or so and check the backlash because now obviously I've got a runout problem.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a different reading in different spots. So I was like, all right, well, more the merrier. So it was probably 5 or 6 different spots around the ring gear that I would check it.
Mm-hmm.
Spec for backlash is 5 to 8 thousandths. Well, spec is 3 to 12 with 5 to 8 the sweet spot. So you're technically in 3 to 12 is the backlash spec on a 14 bolt.
Okay.
So cool story, right?
I mean, those are numbers you need to know.
So I get down to about anywhere from about 4 or 5 in a couple spots to up to about 13 to 15 in a couple spots of backlash.
So it's almost within spec.
The high and it doesn't bind, so I can sit there. I sat that you do my fucking hand. I got a blister on my hand from spinning this ring gear so much over the last like 3 days. But you can sit there and just spin that ring gear, and it doesn't. You can feel it. You can feel it gets a little bit of resistance on it.
Yeah,
but it never quits turning.
So
in my hand.
Clearly, there's something with the ring gear that's kind of off.
Here's what
your backlash, even with the runout. Your backlash is swinging more than your runout.
Well, I think it's all relative. Because, I mean, like I said, I was up to like 25 thousandths of backlash, which is double what I'm at now.
Right.
Which is about, I cut the runout about in half. I cut the backlash in half.
I feel like, do you feel like you're, with what you're having at now, do you feel like you're comfortable with it?
So I talked to the complete off-road tech department yesterday on the phone for a little bit after he got done rubbing in that he was out wheeling today. Okay. And then made the comment, I don't even think I'm going to pull it off the trailer for next weekend. And I said, I wouldn't, but I'm not that positioned.
I want to say, I hope your shit breaks, but at the same time, I don't want to say that.
No, I mean, he's like, yeah, I didn't really get crazy with nothing because I didn't want to break it. But he's like, it was a good shakedown run and a good
cruising around.
Weather was perfect for it. So
bullshit. Everybody going 4-wheeling when it's nice out.
Super jelly.
I hope next weekend's nice.
I don't care. I'm gonna be out there regardless. I got a cab. I got a heater. I don't give a damn.
I'm right there with you.
So I talked to him a little bit, and we kind of bounced some stuff back and forth. And at the end consensus of that, where I think I was comfortable, and he reaffirmed, and Brian also confirmed, made me feel better, hit me in the feels. For what it is and what it's being used for, it will be, I don't want to say fine, but good enough.
Yeah.
It's an off-road only rig.
Right.
On with an LS, 43-inch stickies, blah, 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 blah.
Best case scenario, you rip some teeth off of it and replace it.
I don't even think best case scenario because the problem is you're up to 15 thousandths of backlash. The spec is 12.
It's not great.
And me and Chris were kind of talking. We're like, it takes how many hours to set up a differential in an off-road rig?
Yeah, 5
hours. 5-6 hours.
Yeah.
How long does the factory spend setting up a rear axle?
Oh, I bet it's not long.
They don't spend 6 hours on a rear axle.
I bet
just on gears. I promise you that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I guarantee you it's not 6 hours to set up.
You're right. So then what you're saying is maybe they didn't spend that much time setting that one up. And how old is that? Maybe old. 80s, 90s?
It's at least 98 or older.
So it's 20 plus years old.
Well, here's my thought. And this is what I've always heard, and I've never been in a situation that someone can confirm or deny this.
Yeah.
I have been told by people who are knowledgeable, but not the end all be all of info kind of a thing. So take it for what you will. That from the factory, GM throws the gears in, has a preset spot to put those.
Yeah.
Like on the 14 bolt, they would have a set amount of threads they turn those side adjusters in.
Yep.
Check it. If it's close to spec, it goes out the door.
Right. So what if they slam that one together? It's a Friday ring set. The guy that slammed it together didn't quite get the ring gear torqued.
Yep.
You know, it was close, but it was off by 4 thousandths.
Yep.
So now it's been rolling down the road for 22 plus years. It has now worn the ring gear 4 thousandths on that set of teeth. Now you're over here trying to make it right.
Yep.
And you can't get it right because the ring gear is worn incorrectly.
And that's where I'm at is I'm going off of
and it's a front diff.
Used OEM gear.
Yeah. That you're trying to get spec.
You're trying to get into spec.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's close enough, it doesn't bind. I don't care about gear wind because I'm not going to go fast enough down the interstate to worry about that.
Yeah.
So it's not ideal.
Yeah.
But it's not to the point where you're like, that's going to spin inside there and you're going to have a bad day.
Yeah. I feel like you have done everything that you can to make that work.
Yeah.
Like you've taken it to the highest level that you can with what you're given.
Yep.
I feel like it sounds to me from what you're telling me. It sounds to me like it's like, that's good.
And that's my problem is I didn't want to just throw it together and wing it, which is funny because I threw it together and winged it and ended up with pretty much the same. I could have backed the backlash off.
Yeah.
And run it with 20 thousandths of backlash and probably had the same result and not fucked around for 3 days.
Yeah.
And spent,
but
14 bolt pinion seals are like $18, FYI.
Ooh.
I about fell over and he's like, we have 2 of them. And I was like, give me fucking both of them. And then I was like, wait a second, that says $17.95 or whatever. And he's like, yeah, they're kind of expensive. I'm like, the fuck yeah, they are, bud. Like,
who is that through?
O'Reilly's.
Oh.
And I was like, good Lord, they're the only ones I could find that had a crushed sleeve and a pinion nut
in stock.
Well, they didn't have it in stock.
Well, yeah,
nobody had it in stock, but they could get it next day for me. Yeah. So
that works.
Out of their warehouse had it in stock.
Yeah.
Everybody else, which is odd, Advanced Auto Parts sells Yukon pinion nut.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like it's literally
Yukon
advertised. It's not like Yukon makes this and we put it in our box. No, it's literally
the Yukon box.
Part number, Yukon box, like Yukon. They just buy it from Yukon when you want it. So they don't stock it. Some stores probably do, but nobody in town or around here did.
No, they don't do
But
Offroad
it's literally a Yukon
pinion
nut for a 10.5, 14 bolt.
Nice.
Which is kind of interesting to me. But
it's good to know.
Yeah. So there's that. But I basically ran my dick off
for 3 days
trying to make it right. And it's still not right. But it's going to be...
You say it's not right, but I think it's as right as it could possibly be.
Yeah.
You have literally like moved everything to make it as best possible.
Well, here's my issue. Everybody keeps going, why are you running 410s? It's like, well, I'm going to tell you why. So you can buy 14 bolts with 410s. You know what you can use 410s in? Anything.
Yeah.
Because a 410 axle for an off-road vehicle, it's not great.
Yeah.
But it's not a 342.
This is true.
So you can put a 410 axle in any off-road project and kick it down the road and get it on the trail and wheel it or drive it or tow with it or whatever you want to use a 14 bolt. The 410 is a very mild, like if you had to pick one factory, there you go.
Right.
So anytime I can find a 410 14 bolt for sale for $100-$150 for a while, I was buying them and putting them out back. And I still have, I think, 2 or 3 of them out back.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Because, like, what if you need a hub for a 14 bolt? Boom, I've got a fucking pile. I've got probably 8 hubs back there.
Jeez.
Sitting on a shelf.
Just in case.
Never know.
Works.
I've used them before.
Yep.
So that's, I mean, if you'd search in Facebook and you'd find one that's 410, 14 bolt rear end. You're like, perfect, I'll buy that. Right. So I ended up with all these 410 gear sets and 14 bolts that are all 410s. And I'm like, the rear's 14 or 410, the front 410s. I can drive this and wheel it on 410s.
Right.
Is it ideal? No. Is it what I want? No.
But it's a starting point.
But it's a great baseline.
Yeah.
So now with the LS, the 400, the 3.0 Atlas, 43s, blah, blah, blah. Now I know what gearing I want and I can make an educated decision on, do I want to go with like a 538, a 513, or something else? But you have a baseline that you can literally just go and run. My problem is I'm going to change from 410s.
Yeah.
I just don't know to what.
Where to, yeah.
Yeah.
How far off are you?
So this whole process, I'm literally fucking around with this thing going, I am going to change these. I just don't want it to grenade in the process.
Yeah.
And that's what Chris told me. He's like, dude, if you get 5 or 6 trips out of that and then want to upgrade gears, win. Like it's a success.
Exactly.
And I'm like, well, that's where I feel like it's set up to now, that I'm not going to have a binding issue. I'm not going to have too much excessive backlash, blah, 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 that I can go wheel it and not have a problem. It's not perfect, but it's good enough.
Yeah.
So that's just, I just didn't want to not be in that good enough and then have an issue where I'm like, no, I spun the front ring and pinion.
Right.
Like, great.
So
that really tells me
is it ready to go back together?
It's so right now, I got so pissed. I literally left the garage 3 or 4 different times yesterday. Like, would put clothes on, go out there, work on it, get pissed off,
and leave.
Come back inside, put a fucking t-shirt and athletic shorts on, and sit down and like stare at YouTube on the TV or Netflix or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'd go, all right, quit being a lazy motherfucker. Go back out there
and try it again.
Do another one. So I would go switch, put my work clothes on, go out there and fuck around for another hour or so.
Come back in.
Fuck this thing. I'm done. I'll come back in. Like, I changed clothes like 8 times yesterday. And God.
How far did you get?
So right now, the center section's all together. Everything's torqued down tight. The axle shafts are back in, and that's where I was done.
Okay.
Because I wanted to make sure my axle shafts would go in and everything turns. And I'm like, all right, now it's just simply throwing the outer, hub, spindles, brakes back on.
Right.
Seal the cover and put some fluid in it. So
my week was a little better than your week.
Well, I hope it was.
I think it was anyway.
That was like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like much when you go back and like rehash it.
Yeah, but it was a lot.
But it was like you do a little bit every day. And so, of course, I'm like, one night I'm like, all right, I'm going to fuck with the carrier, like pull it apart and rebuild it twice. And then I'm like, I'm done like for the night.
Backwards.
Yep. Yeah. I am DUN because I didn't get anything else done on my to-do list that I needed to get done.
Yeah.
I like was focused. I was like hyper focused on that. And I'm like, I don't know. I should have not screwed with it during the week because you only have so much time by the time you like, I'm going to eat dinner, sit around and relax for an hour, take a shower, and then go to work in the morning.
All right.
So I was like, I should have saved the gear project for like a Saturday where you have the whole day. But
yeah, I know the feeling.
You want to get it done because you're like, oh God, the trip's coming. I gotta go.
Yeah. I was making so much progress on mine that I was like excited. Like everything I would do, I get a little more excited about it. So it's like gaining momentum. But what did I do this week? It's been, first off, hats off to you. Because building that entire thing, like I just put the axles back in and buttoned all of that stuff up. And like, I feel like I've done so much in such a short time. I'm not sure what I have and haven't done. So I have a list on my phone of all the things that I had going. And I can show you some of the things. I can tell you some of the things that I had to do. Hold on one second. The wife is texting me.
Because all I've got left on my to-do list is like check engine oil.
I'll show.
I got to wire in my new E-fan. I got a new E-fan controller.
Okay,
that I can turn on with the temperature, or like auto turns on, and then you manually override it.
Right.
I thought that was kind of a cool idea, so I bought one of those when I bought my new, bigger fan. So I got to like piddly shit, like easy little. I only like 8 more things on my to-do list, and I'm done. So.
Okay, I just added something to my list.
Oh my, you're going wrong direction. Did I like
no, I just was like looking at the list. I'm like, oh, there's one more thing I need to check after taking a test drive last night. We'll get to that. So what's left on the list is to do the top plate on the truss. Alternator because it's got a cracked case.
Top plate on the truss.
The truss, we cut the top plate to put the air locker in.
Okay.
And it was just an 1/8 plate across the top.
Okay.
Because when I lowered it, I wasn't sure how much room I was going to have. So I was like, I'll just put a 1/8 plate here and it'll be good enough. Well, now we know that I'm going to go to a 3-link and there needs to be a bracket up there. So I need to make it out of thicker metal. So I'm going to do a 3/8 plate across the top.
I feel you. Okay.
Yep.
Do you need that before the trip?
I would prefer the truss to be complete. I don't know that it needs to be.
Okay. Because you're not putting that bracket up there now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But on 40s, I feel like it wouldn't hurt.
Well, I mean, even 1/8 plate's going to add some in the manner that it's put
cut
in
in half. It's not.
I thought
the truss is incomplete.
Okay,
the truss currently ties the what does the truss do? It kind of ties the tube to the carrier housing. Like they're kind of welded together, but that's about it. Like there's nothing over the top. So you've taken the bridge and you've taken the deck out of the top of the bridge.
I thought you had replaced the bridge deck with an 1/8 inch
I had,
plate.
but then when they put the air locker in up at complete, he asked me, he's like, so we're just going to drill a hole? I was like, I'm going to replace it so you can just cut it out of the way.
Okay.
Like make your life easier, just cut it out of the way. He's like, oh, okay. Because I already knew that I was like, I want it to be thicker.
Mm-hmm. No, so, I completely got you. I just misunderstood that.
Yeah.
So now, nope, you're fine.
So I've got that. I need to put an alternator on it because the alternator has a sticky bearing, which I remedied that, but it's still the case where it has like the openings in the side of the case and you can see the windings.
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 of those little like bars are cracked. So the alternator's got something wrong with it. I should replace that before I go. Plumb the lockers, wire the switches to the lockers. I have a modified power steering pump. I don't know. That's not real high on my list. Like, because it works like it is. Mount the compressor. I need a regulator for my tank. I need a pressure switch. And I just added check the transfer case fluid. So like a fluid check would be nice.
Yep.
Things that have been completed recently. Install rear drive shaft, fill rear 9-inch, tighten all the bolts, lube locker, and Dana 44 fill diff. Install lockouts, done. Test drive, done. I purchased a compressor. Adjust the anti-wrap. The anti-wrap, and I don't know how this should be. I have a... which way is it? So the shackle is up.
Didn't we talk about this last week?
Did we?
Yeah.
About how the anti-wrap?
The preload on the anti-wrap and which way you want the shackle to go.
I should go listen to the podcast.
So I do believe Chris either texted us, messaged us, or posted in Trail Riders about said preload.
What is it?
I fucking don't remember. Like, I don't give 2 flying fucks about it. So I saw it and went poof out of my head.
Somehow I missed it.
But there was some.
I'll ask him.
Yeah.
Okay. So
just to save you from that entire conversation twice.
I've already done it. I've already adjusted it.
Okay.
The shackle was laid backwards at maybe 10 degrees towards the back axle.
Mm-hmm.
And the shackle is like facing up. So the 1/4 heim is at the bottom of the shackle and the solid mount point is at the top of the shackle.
Yep.
It was laid back at a 10. I adjusted it the other day. Now it's sitting at like maybe a 3-degree angle lean back. It's very minimal. And I took it for a ride down the road last night and got on the throttle and then let off. And it didn't feel like the rear end twisted now. So I don't know if that fixed it or if the leaf spring fixed it.
I feel like your broken ass leaf springs probably got something to do with that because they're going to move around. It's going to be unpredictable.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting that spring rate being broke.
Yeah.
So it's essentially like having like a 1 leaf pack, which would be like
the front bushings were not like tight in spec, like good enough. They were good enough for trail, but that was about it. So anyway, whereas I adjusted the heim on the anti-wrap bar, I polished the wheels and the rings. Those are done. I assembled my bead locks this week. I know a lot of you have seen that already on the Trail Riders or maybe on Instagram. I got all that done. I reassembled the 44, put the U-joints in the axles, painted the axle shafts, installed, front drive shaft U-joint. I did not do the front drive shaft U-joint. I had that on my list and I have the U-joint, but when I went to go check it, it felt fine. So I don't understand why I thought it needed to be fixed.
Do you want my word of advice?
Sure.
Change it.
Too late.
You're not going to change it.
Nope.
Because
it was fine.
Okay, well, here's my thought.
Okay.
You're going to be sitting here a week from now and you're going to go,
well, I should have changed that.
I checked it and it was fine. I had the joint. I should have checked it or should have changed it.
But
because that's some shit that I would do.
Okay, so I checked it and I just don't understand. I feel like there was a hang up at one time. Like when I took it apart, I feel like it was hanging up.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went back, it was smooth, but it was dirty. Had some dirty grease in it. So I pulled the caps off. I inspected it. I put it back together. I pumped it full of grease.
Oh, it's a greasable greaser?
It's a greasable U-joint. So I just serviced it. I over-serviced it. I just kept pumping grease into it until clean grease started pumping out around the caps.
You should just replace it with a non-greasable one.
I wiped it all off. I have a non-grease. I think I have a non-greasable in the Jeep. But anyway, nonetheless, I have a spare. I have
until it takes out the ear. That's my biggest caveat with
And then you're
spare
done.
U-joints.
Yeah.
Everybody, like I've done it. I
Yeah.
always have spare U-joints.
Right.
And I'm like,
Until it breaks the yoke.
I had spare 44 U-joints in my 44. I never fucking needed them because you would always smoke the ears off the axle shafts. And you're like, this brand new U-joint does me no bit of good right now.
So far.
But
in my experience,
you got time. Just knock her out.
I'm not going to guarantee that's going to happen.
Okay.
The cross looks fine. There's literally nothing wrong with it.
I'm just saying. Ian Luck, bro.
Anyway, it was on the list. I greased it. I serviced it. It feels great. It feels like a new U-joint.
Sending it.
And we're good. It's in there.
If it fucks up now, there's going to be like if it breaks, 45 people who are like, fucking told you so.
Good.
But the best part is they'll be like, you know what?
Next time you want to tell me so, just come over here and change it for me.
Yeah, you want to donate to the changing it
most
fund?
Annoying thing to change, like unbolting the bolts at the transfer case, just annoying.
Do you have? Is it a flange?
Yeah, no.
Where it bolts the transfer case, or is it the straps?
No, where it bolts the transfer case is kind of like a flange ish. It's got 4 bolts that bolt through the double cardan into the yoke on the transfer case. The double cardan captures the U-joint cap.
Oh.
It's like it's 2 halves, and then they bolt together like this.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. That's how most double cardans are.
Mine always had it just on the full size. Like,
it had a flange on the double cardan?
Yeah.
Weird.
No, it's normal.
I mean, it's how it should be, but Jeep didn't do it that way.
Huh.
So anyway, I serviced it. U-bolts are tightened and torqued. Install the 9-inch is done. Bastard pack the springs done. Fabricate third link. Oh, these are things that were on the list that got deleted. Yeah, postponed, which was some link stuff. And anti-coning spacers are done. Lower link bushings are done. And that's it. I think, yep, that's all. So I did all that. So it's got the tires are mounted with new valve stems and the anti-coning rings, which went well. Oh, no, did I not bring it?
You didn't bring it.
Are you kidding me?
I cannot make this up.
Are you shitting me?
True story.
Damn.
Well, I've been sitting here for like 2 hours.
That sucks. I had in my pocket yesterday and didn't bring it with me. I was going to show you why having an insert in your bead lock is ideal.
An insert? What do you mean by
the insert? The inserts, instead of having the wheel threaded, having the insert on the backside.
Mm-hmm.
I grade 8 bolts, the whole shebang, grade 8 bolts. I'm torquing it down to 30 foot-pounds the first go around, doing a 30 foot-pound torque, and just it seats everything down, and then you can go back and do a 25 because they're always loose, behind it. Grade 8 bolt, snapped it off 30 foot-pounds.
Happens.
It's not supposed to happen.
Happens.
I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe 1/4-inch bolts are not meant to be torqued to 30 foot-pounds.
Anything that is made can be broken.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I mean,
so wait, what is the torque spec for a 1/4-inch bolt? But anyway, I'm going around torquing them, and this one just pink pops off. And so now I have a bolt that's not tight, but it's in the insert.
Mm-hmm.
I just took a punch, tap, knock the insert
out of there, and
grab another bolt, sank her down in there,
mm-hmm.
and on with my process. It was like a 1-2 minute process instead of like trying to figure out how am I going to get this bolt back out of this wheel. So that was what I was going to tell you, is like that's the high side of doing inserts over having a threaded wheel. I like that concept.
Oh, I 100% agree.
So the wheels are done, tires are done, everything's installed. And last night I took it for a test drive. And the only thing I noticed on the test drive is the steering is sloppy, but I also had 7.5 pounds of air in the tires, in the front tires, and 5 in the rear. And when I was backing on the driveway, I swear I heard something going like almost in the transfer case or something. Can I make a noise? But I have no idea what it was. And I have a driveline vibration over 35 miles an hour under load. If I let out, no vibration. Under load, vibration.
4-wheel drive?
2-wheel drive.
2-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm. So I don't remember. At that point, the lockouts were not engaged, so the front end wasn't spinning. So, yeah, that's what I have going on.
Transfer case mount?
Doesn't have a mount. Mounts the transmission.
Transmission mount
seemed to be good.
Okay. You said it's under load?
Under load.
Only
so
under
presumably
load.
rear drive shaft angle. It's a double cardan, and on that type of shaft, it's recommended that the pinion be pointing at the transfer case.
Yeah, you want it as straight as possible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, we've got a little group for the patrons.
Yep.
And I posted in there about it. And he said, ideally, be within 1 degree up or down of straight.
Where you at?
Of inline. Oh, gosh, it's 6? I don't know. It's off. He's like, I've seen worse. I'm like, yeah.
That doesn't make it good. I've seen worse.
But is that the problem? Like, if that's the problem, then we'll just go ahead and do that. Like,
can you not just shim it?
So I can't.
I don't see why you couldn't just shim it.
Could, if I had shims. But then I have to take the leaf pack back apart.
No, I just put it under. Well, yes, but I mean, you just slide it on the top of the leaf pack. Like the degree shims.
But I have to take the bolt back out. So basically redisassemble the entire rear end.
So I've used shims a couple times and I don't remember them bolt. Now they do bolt into the leaf pack.
Yep. They bolt into the leaf pack.
So what's the issue?
I don't have shims on hand.
Okay. They sell those.
I had good luck with them.
Well, nobody ever has had good shims with those. The way to do it is
wheeled just fine the last time.
Yeah.
In its current orientation. Or I can adjust it slightly by currently the preload on the springs is forward. So the pinion is actually tipped down even a touch more than what it would be at rest. So I could go the other direction and wrap the leaf spring and put preload on the springs the other direction a little bit and get us a lot closer to.
See, I would steer against that because the axle is going to wrap backwards that way anyway.
The axle, when hooked into that anti-wrap bar, is not wrapping anywhere.
Well, this is true.
That thing is.
Well, it's going to wrap.
I can't see how.
It's not a solid. That shackle is going to move.
So if it does wrap backwards, if it was able to wrap backwards, which I don't see how it could, because the shackle, the top bar of the anti-wrap is almost parallel to the ground. Like it's straight. And
you're still going to get spring wrap. It's just going to be very minimal.
It's going to push the axle down.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Anyway, nonetheless, if it does wrap at all, that'll make the yoke in line with the, you know what I'm saying? Like it'll try to wrap it in line with, I don't know. I need to talk to somebody that knows more than I know about these things. I wish I knew where that post was at about Chris. From Chris.
I'll find it for you here in a little bit.
Chop, motherfucker, chop. But anyway, so yeah, I got all the stuff is done. There's fluid in the diffs. I literally got done the other day and I'm like, did I do everything? Like, is it all done? I did record a video on how to install Dana 44 hub bearings and like reassemble a hub on a Dana 44 and how to install the Yukon hardcore lockouts. So hopefully I'll get that video edited and put up because I think it's going to be a pretty good install
video. You
want
to preload the traction bar slightly down. It will want to climb up under acceleration.
Yep, that's where it's at right now.
He also said you don't need to regulate the air pressure to the locker solenoids because he runs his at 130 to 150 with no issue. Pressure switch comes on at 100 and off at 150.
Where'd he send that at?
Facebook.
On the messenger?
Yes.
Oh. Really? I don't need to regulate it? But they said it was good
solenoids.
To the locker solenoids. Really? So he runs it to the locker. Does it regulate through the solenoid?
You don't need to regulate the air pressure to the locker solenoids. I run mine at 130 to 150 with no issues.
Huh.
They're just saying with the solenoid, it's only rated to X amount of PSI, whatever the fuck it is. And if you run it higher than that, you're probably going to blow them out eventually.
What I understood is that it can blow the O-rings out in the locker. On the zip locker.
No, so my assumption is the locker solenoid is going to get tank pressure to that, and the locker, it's only going to get X amount of PSI out of that to the it's not dumping tank pressure to the locker.
How? So then it's internally regulated through the.
That would be it's only going to let so much air through it.
Weird.
Before it closes and considers itself locked.
Oh, really?
I would think.
I don't know. That sounds weird. Who knows these things? It's going to be too late by the time you even tell me because I don't want a failure. I don't want a locker failure.
Well, I don't. There's
so if
no,
they said between 85 and 100 pounds,
there's not going to be no problems running one. I just think you're going to blow shit up, or you run the risk of blowing shit up. It's no different than running an air compressor wide open without a tool regulator on your tool.
Yeah,
your tools are going to run the same. It's just you're going to blow balls to the wall pressure to it.
I sure did miss. You guys are having a conversation. This is after he posted that Jeep picture. I missed that whole thing because he went to next thing I opened up was the Miller Lite picture.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's what's left to do is plumb the lockers and get everything set up.
Yep.
I need a pressure switch, and in my book, I need a regulator, and I need to get everything hooked up. Those are the goals for this week.
Do it.
Yes. And then hopefully get a truck and a trailer all set up and squared away, get all that shit ready, and if with any kind of luck, maybe have the Jeep on the trailer ready to go Wednesday or Thursday.
I would
night.
shoot for that.
That's what I'm shooting
with
for.
your track record of
not getting shit done until
trailer
Saturday morning.
issues and like loading shit. I have honestly never loaded my shit for a wheeling trip the day I'm leaving.
No? Always before.
Always before. Huh. Like the day I leave for a wheeling trip, I'm getting in the truck and driving out the door, minus a cooler.
Nice.
Because I'm like, I just don't want to fuck with loading it
in the morning.
That morning. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be rushed. I want to take my time, putting it on there, strapping it down, like,
That'd be nice. I still have to do a lot. I have things I got to do.
Just keep the foot on the pedal, man.
Trying to, and having family.
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
And working on trying to make money.
Yeah.
Yep.
Welcome to the life.
We have a guest.
We do.
Do you want to get to that?
We can.
We should call him.
Okay.
This week, our guest, this is going to be a cool one. The guest this week is Chris Grunow of Reckless Wrench Garage. And we're going to call him up and talk to him about how he got into off-road and things of that nature.
Let's get him on the line.
You have a collect call from
Steve from Total Off-Road Podcast.
Would you like to accept charges?
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
That was wonderful. Hi.
Hi.
Well, how's it going?
It's awesome sauce. Are you excited to talk to Chris from Reckless Wrench?
Well, now you just said awesome sauce. I just want nuggets. Not to bring it back to food as usual, but like awesome sauce. I'm like, oh yeah, I did get screwed out of nuggets yesterday.
You told you didn't want anything this morning. I asked if you wanted breakfast. You're like, no, I got
you can't
something.
buy nuggets before 11.
Jeez,
I learned this yesterday.
rough.
Sorry.
I will say my lunch on Thursday was inspired by you guys because I went to McDonald's and got a 10-piece. And I saw someone on the Trail Riders posted to do barbecue sauce and honey.
Oh,
honey barbecue.
Like mixed together.
Uh-huh.
That was legit.
Was it legit?
Dude, we're changing lives here.
Yeah.
Yes. What'd you do with the 10-piece?
Had a snack.
I guess. 30 or bust.
Yeah, I probably would have been dead after lunch if I did that.
You wouldn't have been productive at all. That's for sure.
Not at all.
Yeah, that's us on which way? What was that? The
Nuggie said.
Was it?
We did like 30.
Oh no, it was it was just no, it was the other day when we were setting up and we recorded that. The one for the patrons
preview. Yep. Yeah, we had like pre-show nuggets.
Yeah, pre-show nuggets, and I gave it to the patrons, and they're like, "Well, if you're into ASMR, this is great because these condenser mics pick up everything." And so, yeah, they were digging it. Like they liked the extra content. But like, how many nuggets did you eat? I was like 30.
I had to get like chewing in high fidelity.
Yes. Oh, it was definitely that. It was like you could hear. So I edit with full headphones on, and you can hear the crunch of the nugget. It's wild.
They were good nuggets.
Like that's how you know they're good. You can hear the crunch. So anyway, get off our nuggets. We're always on nuggets.
We're always on nuggets because we like to eat. I'm sorry. You just said sauce.
Let's get back to our guest and try to make this almost professional. As professional as this podcast can be. Chris, where do you currently reside?
I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yes. And you're down there by Weston.
Yeah, Weston from Beat Not Baby, he lives he's like 30 to 40 minutes away from me. But no, he's pretty close to here, and I've met up with him a couple times now to go wheeling out here.
Yes. Go ahead.
I just want to know, like, why are you not at Trail Hero right now?
That's a good question.
Oh man, well, with the coronavirus, quote unquote, pandemic, whatever you want to call it, traveling this year for me has not been very easy to do just because of my work and everything like that. So I'm in the military, and leaving the state has proven to be difficult. So
interesting.
Yeah,
because I'm over here like, well, it's like on the other side of the country, and my stuff's not reliably ready for all that kind of wheeling. But the pictures and videos have been awesome.
So this whole last month has been rough for me because, like, Trail Hero, that's only 8 hours away, and I would love to go over there. But then even just a couple weeks ago was the rescheduled full-size invasion that me and Chris from Chris from Reckless Wrench, we kind of sparked part of that to go up there and do it, and then I wasn't even able to make it up there just because of some of my work-related things. So yeah, the last few weeks has been just nothing but people on Red Rock doing awesome four-wheeling, and I'm just like swiping through Instagram.
Yep.
Feeling sorry for myself.
Living vicariously.
Story of my life right there, so I can relate to you real well.
Like, oh, this sure looks like they're having a good time.
Yep.
Oh, look, my shit's on jack stands.
The problem with Trail Hero is I look at that and I'm like, how do you hit everything you want to hit in the short time you'd be out there? So I'm like, I want to go out there for like a month.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, but I don't have any idea how to like make that financially possible to like take a month off of work and go across the country and go wheeling.
Is that kind of like getting groceries? Like you go out to get your groceries out of the car and you like fill your arms up to get everything in one time, like one trip.
Yeah.
Is that the same?
Yeah.
Like you're like, I'm gonna take a month off so I can do it all in one trip versus just going back.
Yeah. Because I'm not walking back out to the car or across the country. Yeah. I don't know. See, my thing is I love like the technical rock crawling side of things.
But you built a bouncer?
And I built a bouncer. Well, yeah, we don't have technical rock stuff here. But like, West Coast wheeling, it's Be Still by Beating Heart for me.
Yeah, and like that, the technical like cone dodging type of rock crawling, I haven't personally done it, but I did get to go. We went to the Grand Nationals last year up in Farmington, New Mexico, which is only like 2 hours from us. And that was like one of the first times I've actually seen like the cone dodging aspect of it. And what those guys are able to do in those little buggies is it blows my mind, like watching them. Like they'll be driving crab sideways up like a cliff pretty much. And yeah, it is
insane. Sideways and go up a cliff. Yep. It's just normal everyday stuff for them.
Time. Yep.
That's awesome. Let's get a little bit of your background, and I want to ask you, how did you get bit by the off-road bug?
All right, so rewind to where I was like 15 in high school. I didn't have a driver's license or anything like that, but my best friend, who I spent a lot of time growing up with, he got a 95 Jeep Cherokee.
Everybody starts with a Cherokee.
This thing, we called his Jeep Olga. She wasn't pretty, but she got the job done. And we beat the crap out of his Jeep. It was an old retired like male Jeep, so it was white, nothing frilly about it. And
right-hand drive?
What's that?
Right-hand drive?
No, it wasn't. So it wasn't right-hand drive. Okay, it was still left-hand drive, but everything else about it was male Jeep. So,
yeah.
But yeah, we'd go up in the mountains. I grew up in Washington State. I didn't grow up in New Mexico, but so we'd take it up in the mountains, get that thing stuck in the mud or in the snow, and that's kind of how off-roading started for me. Was just in the passenger seat, doing stupid things with him, and then eventually once I got my license, at first I had an Explorer, which that thing I didn't really care for that. It was like a 98, but then I bought my Ranger, which I have now, and I've been evolving that over the last 12 or 13 years 15 years. I don't remember how long I've had it now. Since then, so it all started with an XJ. Honestly,
It always does,
man. Like,
it always does.
I never started with an XJ, so I don't know that life. But like,
yeah,
I don't know if I feel bad for people that start with it. I don't know.
I do because like there's nowhere to go from there.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, everybody seems to like start there and then go, yeah, I don't want to live that life. So I'm gonna go over here. There's not just you. Like, there's some guys out there that wheel some badass XJs, but it's like everybody starts there because it's easy to get into.
So easy.
And then instead of upgrading it, they're just like, yeah, I'm done. I'm gonna go over here.
There's that too. There are a few guys that do that. And then there's other guys like Weston. They're like, I love to upgrade. I'm gonna upgrade. So I'll just weld a bunch of tube to this XJ.
Yep.
Until there's absolutely no XJ left.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Except for tube and a motor.
Yeah.
I did not realize his buggy was a XJ until I was watching your video, Chris. The buggies versus full bodied rigs.
Oh yeah.
Is that what it's called?
No,
what is it called?
His Rock Lizard. You know, it's the full XJ drivetrain in there.
So yeah, so it is just a buggy with XJ drivetrain.
Mm-hmm.
So even still, he was like, I want to get away, but at the same time, I don't want to get away.
Maybe he does. He just can't.
He just can't.
You just can't.
He's just married to it.
So tell us about your Ranger.
Oh God, this is great.
So yeah, it's the 91 Ranger. It's pretty much just the cab and frame left of it now. I bought it like when I was 18, and I got out of high school. I sold the Explorer and I went and bought this 1991 Ranger for $1,500, and it had 150,000 miles on the clock. So interesting story about when I got it. It's Craigslist find. You know, it was in like pretty much mint condition when I found it, manual. So me and my friend go to check this thing out. And we roll up and I knock on the door and this lady answers and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm looking to buy your truck that you have posted for sale. And she's like, okay, let me get the keys. And she comes out and I had to do a double take because she only had one arm and she had her right arm. And this truck is a manual. I spent a long time looking for the 4-liter with a manual transmission because that's what I wanted. And she saw this confused look on my face, and she's like, yeah, I have to sell it because the court's ordering me to sell it because I got caught driving this truck with one arm, and I have a restriction on my license. So apparently, she's been driving this thing for years, just power shifting, steering, hitting the gear real quick, and then going back up to the wheel. And
it's not that hard. No. Like once you get used to it, it's not that hard. It's a little harder if you only have a left arm. But I have always been curious about this, and in the semi, I do that. Like I would do that in the semi. Like, all right, if I didn't have this arm, how hard would this really be?
Well, throw a cheeseburger in one hand, and you're like, all right, now I'm driving one-handed. Yep. You know what I mean? Yep. So, wow, it's wild that's a legit like restriction on your license.
I know.
Yeah,
Like, hey, just because y'all have two arms does not mean that I need two arms. Yeah. Okay. Damn people.
Extra shit to get in the way.
I got two legs. I'll hold that clutch down. It's fine.
Yes.
I'd be pissed. I would tell the system to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not.
I mean, it worked out in my favor because I got the truck for pretty dang cheap. And I mean, it's crazy now. Like you look online, like you can't really find many $1,500 trucks like at all. That's a good deal. So I got that from her, and I had almost no mechanical knowledge at that point in my life. Like I didn't know too much, but I had a friend of mine in high school who, he knew how to weld and he knew how to weld for the most part. And
was this still up in Washington?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. No, this is all up in Washington still.
So clean. God, it's so clean.
Yeah. And, we built some bumpers for it, and that's about it. And I put like a little lift on it and some 31s and a locker, and then just went camping and all over the mountains in it. And it kind of just stayed like that. And then I left for the Air Force, and I didn't really drive it for like a year and a half. It sat at home. And then once I got it, I was living in Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas. And I finally got my truck there after not having it for almost 2 years, and the wheeling bug was like I was so
you're in the heart.
dying to get out, and I moved to Arkansas, and I'm like, wait a minute, there's no public lands here. I can't just like go drive like 30 minutes away and go tear up the mountains or anything like that. So I went to my very first off-road park, which was Hot Springs ORV Park.
Nice.
And then there that was the first time I saw anything rock crawling related. And, it's not like the technical competition rock crawling, but more along the lines of like
hobby,
like hill climb. Yeah. Like hill climbs, kind of some of the big rocks that they have down there. And I was like, okay, this is where I need to be. And then at that point I started building my truck to be able to do that stuff down there. Because before, when I lived in Washington, I didn't do any rock crawling or anything like that. It was just like trail riding, kind of adventure camping type things. And, I didn't really understand rock crawling. But then once I went down and I saw it, I was like, okay, this is awesome.
Now I get it.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much to get bit by the rock crawling bug. You're like, wait a minute.
I can and then after my first trip down to the off-road park, it was like a massive snowball rolling down the side of a mountain because, it was just one thing after another I was doing. So first, I built the Ranger. It had that twin traction beam from Ford. So first I tried kind of building on that, and I went up to like 33s and re-gearing and stuff like that. And then didn't really care for that. Came back from a deployment, I built a Dana 44 I bought out of some guy's shed for $200. I fully rebuilt it from, the bearings out, completely rebuilt it. And then went up to 37s, put a doubler in it, saw how awesome that was, and then kept going from there. Then around 2013, I moved out to New Mexico. That's when I got stationed out here. And then here, there's a whole nother dynamic where, it's public lands everywhere. So, and slick, like, it's not slick rock like Moab where it's really traction, like you have a ton of traction, but it's more sandstone that kind of disintegrates on your tires. So you don't have as much traction, but you have tons of open desert and then awesome, like, slick rock stuff out here. And then, it's been rolling downhill. Once I got out here, I did a V8 swap, and it's got 351 Windsor in it now. I've built radius arms front suspension with a solid axle swap, and then I now have a 3-link on the front, and now I have a 4-link on the rear with trailing arms. But the first version of it, I just did a regular 4-link with the shocks mounted off the axle, and now it's got the trailing arm set up with bypasses on it. So I'm kind of getting more into like go fast and rock crawl type stuff, especially after going to a couple Ultra 4 type things and seeing what those guys can do. It's right. I don't know. I want to do everything. So
I feel like a lot of people start leaning that direction. Like, you can build a Ultra 4 inspired rig that can not only do the rock crawling and stuff like that, but then I can also kind of do a little bit faster and hit some of the whoops, and like when you're out where you have public lands and washes and things like that, it seems like you need a rig that can do that, so you can get to where you're going a little bit quicker. And you're not just creeping along down a wash or whatever trying to get to where you're going, but you can hit the whoops and just kind of bebop on over there, and you're like, okay, now I'm at the obstacle I wanted to get to. So that definitely seems like,
and that's kind of how it evolves too. Because to get to some of like the obstacles and stuff like that, it's not like an off-road park where you just cruise down this nice kind of trail that they made, and then you take a right here and you're right there. It's like, you're driving 10, 15, 20 miles out into the desert, like, just to get to this one obstacle that you want to get to. And the faster you get there, the better. And
I want to go.
Like, once you get in like a true go fast vehicle that has been built for that, going back to anything different does not feel right. Like, I went out to King of the Hammers for the first time at the beginning of this year, and he won't say it was built for it, but our friend Steve that we met on Instagram from Fortify Off-Road, he has a Blazer that he did an I-beam front suspension on, and it only had leaves at the time. He's totally rebuilding it now, but it had like it was like 18 inches of travel or 20 inches of travel up front, and then the rear end was built with bypasses to you. And he took us for some rips out there, and I was just like, okay, yeah, none of my suspension is anywhere near where it should be, and that's kind of like where I've been building this year, is just to try and get better high speed performance, not just like a rock crawler based vehicle. So
sounds pretty awesome.
Now you see why I want to go out there for a long time.
Oh yeah,
Do it all.
Yeah, out west, and try it all. Yeah, I'm just gonna take off 6 months and just go
Yep.
out west. Just
Wow.
do like Holly and just retire and just go live your life on the trail. Like, it doesn't sound like a bad idea.
Be wonderful.
No, that'd definitely be a dream.
I don't know how you do it, but she seemed to figure it out. The front, you now have a Spider Tracks 609 in there.
Yeah, so I built that axle. I mean, I've spent over a year collecting parts for it, just buying different used parts. The housing I got off of Pirate, and the knuckles I got off of Pirate. And then, I found some used unit bearings on Facebook that were new. They were new in box, just the guy never used them. And long time collecting it, put it together beginning of this year, and did the 3-link swap, and I've been rocking that thing, and it's awesome.
Does it feel any different than the Dana 44?
It doesn't.
Driveway?
I mean, no, feeling well. At the same time, I built the 3-link suspension, so the suspension definitely feels different. But the axle, it is the exact same wheel mount surface and everything. So it is like an unnoticeable change, other than just the increase in strength, and it looks awesome underneath there. The fabricated axle housings, I mean, they're just like a work of art, really.
Yeah, they're gorgeous to look at. You're like, I don't want to beat on it, but I want to look at it.
While we're talking about that, I'll use you as a reference point. How much different was it going from the radius arms to the 3-link?
Significant.
Really?
Yes. So I had I'll try and explain this. I didn't have like your typical Jeep XJ radius arm setup. I had the Ford radius arms, where it's a wedge on the axle that has a bushing, and I had James Duff radius arms. They were pretty long. They were like 37 to 40 inches. I don't remember exactly.
That's pretty good.
I believe the Ford design is better than the Jeep design, where they have the upper, not a link, but it's the tube that comes from the axle to the arm.
Right. It is technically it's a link, but it goes down the radius. It just completes the radius arm so that the axle can't move around. That's what I have currently.
Yeah. And so I think the Ford design is a little bit better, because I think the way the wedges are made, or the way the wedges are designed, you get a little bit more flex in the bushings than the other way. But
it would have been nice if I'd have known. If I would have known then what I know now, I would not have bought the long arm kit that I bought when I did the half-ton swap. I would have just figured out how to make those bushings. I would have made like a joint, or I would have made like a clamp style bracket to go around the factory bushings on the Ford, like on the Dana 44. And then I would have just made a radius arm off of that. And I wouldn't have I would never mess with trying to put the Jeep stuff onto the 44, because that was a mess. And I think it just would have been a better design.
Yeah. And so with the radius arms, you have an inherent bind in your articulation, just because of the way the bushing design and the way it is. I mean, you could get them set up, or like some people will do like a wristed radius arm, something like that, to where it's nowhere near as bad. But the radius arm design almost acts like a built-in sway bar. So when I did the 3-link, that was the first thing I noticed right away driving it, is there's significantly more felt body roll in the front, just because I didn't have the radius arm binding as it was. But with that being said, I felt like the front suspension was so much more free to do what it needed to do. So in the times I've taken it out, I haven't had a ton of extensive testing. I've taken it out a few times. It feels much more predictable, rock crawling wise, and it feels much more planted on climbs and things like that. I feel like I know kind of how the axle is gonna behave, and that it's gonna get traction when I'm expecting it to. So
that's awesome. What are you running for traction additors, like traction devices in the axles?
So both my axles are 9 inches, and I have the Yukon Grizzly in both of them.
Yep. I like my Grizzly in mine. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I love automatic lockers. I mean, you don't have to think about turning anything on. You don't have. I'm jealous that you have selectables, because believe me, I would like the option to be able to turn them off, but I'm also, my build philosophy is keep it simple if I can. So I kind of try and base things on that, because that, and I'm cheap. Select or the Yukon is so much, the Grizzly is so much cheaper than the selectable, because I thought about putting an ARB in the front 9 inch when I built it, but then I saw the price and I'm just like, not for me. So
I lucked out so much when I picked up my 9 inch. Quick Performance had it listed on Amazon, and they had that selectable listed for the Yukon zip locker. He had it up there on Amazon for $640.
Oh man,
I know.
Yeah,
and I was like,
that's like around the price of a Grizzly. So
I know, and I was like, that seems awfully affordable. And I hit him up, and it was the only one he had. He had on the shelf, just sitting there, and saw that Yukon was sold out of them. Decided he would go ahead and list it on Amazon. He's like, I'm surprised it lasted 2 weeks. And I was like, it was waiting for me. It knew that I needed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I ended up picking that up. Like, I wasn't going to, but I was like, I already have a selectable for the front now. I may as well, buy a selectable for the rear. I'm excited that I did that, because I was going to do a spool, and I was okay with the spool idea because I've, driven around welded before. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
And then I was going to run the Grizzly, or the Detroit that I already had in the front. I was going to run it up front. But then when it was broken, I ended up switching to that zip locker. I'm like, I guess we're going to give these air lockers a
least
chance.
You guys have options. Like 14 volt life is, do you want to weld it? Do you want to buy a spool? Or you could buy an ARB for a selectable. And you don't like ARB's price tag?
Sorry.
Yeah, too bad.
I don't get that.
Yeah, and that's like when I built the front axle, like I really wanted a selectable. I was just because in the front end, especially, I wanted like trying to go fast in the desert with a locked front end. You really can't in 4-wheel drive, just because your steering is not. The Grizzly won't really unlock under torque load or anything like that. So I really wanted a selectable to be able to put it in 4-wheel drive and like just bomb in the desert. So I usually do 2-wheel drive in the desert, but
yeah, I drove mine for the first time last night, and I will say, so I drive the KJ on the daily, and like I'll hit like ditches and stuff like that from time to time. I'll just like, I need a fix, and I'll just dip off into a ditch somewhere or whatever. The XJ compared to the KJ, it's just, there's just no comparison. Like 40s and all the flex versus IFS and 32s with like no travel because of stuffing it into the wheel wells. And so I went and did some stuff last night, and I was trying to find, there's so decent little hills that I mow around, like decent little ditches that I mow in my, like on my 1 mile stretch that I live on. And I was like, oh, that's a pretty good steep little incline. And I go over to it with the XJ and I pull up on it. I'm like, okay, well, that's not nearly enough. So I'm going to need more.
Yeah.
It's like on the lawnmower, it feels pretty steep on the lawnmower. And then you go over the Jeep on 40s and you're like, nope, this isn't anywhere near big enough. Ended up using the neighbor's gooseneck. It's got a gooseneck with a hydraulic dovetail. And I went over to his place. I'm like, hey, can we put the dove down on the trailer real quick? He's like, oh, sure. So he put the dove down. I backed it up on there and then pulled it up, trying to check flex and get the fluids moved out to the outer bearings and stuff like that on the 9 inch.
So am I, question for you guys, am I like the only person that has been trying to justify to themselves buying a forklift just to be able to?
I'm gonna say no,
because I just about scored one for a pretty good price.
Oh, from work?
It's a 2,000 pound capacity, and I was like, alrighty, like I don't know if that's gonna be enough or not.
Enough for one.
You could lift up the corner of a vehicle. You could drop engines in, move axles around. Like,
my thought is, I want to lift the entire end of a vehicle.
2000 be getting pretty close.
Here's why. because when you go coil springs on your, or coilovers, and you want to change your coil springs,
the whole thing.
It is sketchy as hell using a high lift to fully extend your 18 or 16 inch coilovers.
Why don't you use the engine hoist?
I just hook it up to the cherry picker.
I don't think it would lift it.
Oh, it would. That's what I do on my truck.
It's 4 tons collapsed.
All right.
Like you don't weigh 8,000 pounds.
And I don't keep. I guess okay. Okay, it probably would work, but I don't keep my engine hoist in the garage because it's one car garage life.
It's in the shed.
Yeah.
Oh, that does make it a little extra hard.
Yeah.
So
I got the folding one from Hobo Freight, so I could kind of fold it up, and it's always in the way. But
yep. So I just use a 60-inch high lift, and boy.
I would be afraid
sketchy.
All the time.
Yeah, that's extra sketchy. I wouldn't do that.
I've come up with this is the best of the worst scenario for you because I just did this. I just changed my springs this week on my front coilovers.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jack it up with the high lift, and then I have some 4x4 blocks that I have cut to the right length that go on top of the axle truss up to the bottom of the front winch plate. They line up real nice there with the tubes. So you can put I want to say I feel safer with a 4x4 block holding this huge gap.
It's like a hood prop for your rig.
It's literally so I put 2 of them in there, and I'm like, if this falls, this should slow it down enough that I can just let me tuck and roll out of the way.
Let me make you feel a little bit better about that.
Okay.
We used to, when needed, we would do the same thing with a 4x4 on the tailgates of the semis.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need to work on something, you need to have the tailgate open, but you need to have the bed kind of down.
Yep.
So you raise the bed all the way up, wedge a 4x4 block in there, and then let the bed back down, and then now the tailgate's sitting up.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in there working and that 4x4 slips,
probably let you know pretty quick.
You don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
You're going to be dead within minutes.
It's
not a big deal. It's going to cut you in half.
Yep. That's what I mean.
You don't have to worry about it.
I was sitting there the first time and I was like, this is sketchy as hell. And I was like,
but you took the whole coilover out.
Well, I just pull the lowers.
Yeah.
I just pull the lowers off so that you can
slide the spring off.
The worst part is you have to fully extend the coilover. Mm-hmm. Then you pull the bolts out, and then you need to take it up about another click or 2 on the high lift because you got to get a little bit more. You got to get it out of the mount so it'll swing down, so you can get the lower coil keeper off and all that. Jeez. So you've got to but that's the sketchy part because the blocks fit when it's up. They don't fit when it's 2 inches lower. So you've got to completely. Oh, dude. That's what I'm telling you. So forklift, it's a great idea.
It's a thought.
Yeah.
So no, you're definitely not the only one.
I've been for so long just because building the suspensions and stuff.
Where are you going to put it?
I don't know, but I'd put it in the driveway or something.
I'm not seeing more like Chris. He's in a neighborhood. I feel like a little bit nicer neighborhood,
build a little garbage can, those little garbage can sheds, and you just tuck the
you just kind of build a little a faux wall, a pseudo wall on one side of your house, so you could just
it's a little lean-to with a tiny little garage door.
Yes, for just
the forklift.
Yep.
No, as supportive as my wife is of this insane hobby that I do, I don't know if I could pull off forklift on the side of the house. So
she wouldn't notice. Just you got you're stucco on the outside, aren't you?
My house is brick. Most houses here are stucco, but
All right, so you're gonna have to build a brick lean-to.
A brick lean-to, yeah.
You gotta have it match, yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta match. You're gonna build a brick lean. You could just paint it. There you go.
Oh, you could brick.
You just build it out of drywall.
Yes.
Yeah, and then just mask it off and just paint it. I
thought you
totally match.
Paint the forklift, paint the forklift brick. So when you park it there, it's is that a forklift? No, that's not a forklift. I can be perfect. Yeah, she ain't gonna know.
Somebody sees you drive around the driveway on a pile of bricks. That'd be great. I want to do that now.
Let's buy a forklift. I'll buy a forklift.
I have a forklift. We don't have to buy nothing.
Done.
I mean, my dad may not like it brick colored, but it'd be funny.
fresh paint job, bro. Yes.
It looks like a stack of bricks. It'd be great.
Perfect.
You have to do that now. That's YouTube. That's how you take it to the next level.
That'd be amazing.
That's how your YouTube channel makes it to the next level.
Yeah.
Now a forklift would be pimped to cycle suspension.
Oh man, it'd be so useful. I could think of 10 things right now that I could use it for.
See, that's the nice thing is like you have one at work. I have one at the shop. So like it's not great, but it does the job.
I have a photo of my Toyota Truggy completely in the air on the forks of a forklift to put it on my I may have tacoed the 4-link mount, the lower 4-link bar mount one time on an off-road trip. And so the rear end was like, ooh, you know, it would.
I feel like I remember this.
Yeah, it would go and bind.
Is that when you tack lifed it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this thing is not going to drive up the trailer straight because the rear end was like tweaked sideways. So I just grabbed it with a couple straps and picked it up with this big ass forklift and just set it on the trailer.
And that's how it's done.
Done.
Yes. Come here, buddy. I'll take care of you.
I'll just plop you on the trailer with a forklift.
That's great. Yes. See, you've got on the Ranger, you've got coilovers front and rear, don't you? Like the whole shebang.
Yeah, I got so the front's the 3-link with. I only have 2.0 coilovers, but they're 14-inch coilovers up front, and then
Kings?
Yes, yeah, Kings,
Fancy.
and then the back I have 16-inch 2.0 or 2.5 King with 3.0 Bilstein bypasses.
Jesus.
But the rear coilovers, they're mainly right now. There's no valving in them, so they're just a coil carrier. Just because when I set up the bypasses, I only wanted to deal with one set of valving at that time. So get the bypasses set up, and then in the future, we could always add valves into the coilover to tune for different types of situations.
I have a feeling that in the near future, there's going to be a midweek mini that's going to have some valving tech.
Ooh. That will be
I'm
highly
looking,
valuable for anyone.
My co-host is doodling on a notepad, but I'm looking intensely at him.
I talked to him not too long ago.
Your phone call you got to make.
I talked to him not too long ago about because I'm still getting my coilovers and stuff dialed in. And when I was out in Oklahoma, I felt like valving wise, it was pretty good. Like even at a little bit of speed hitting some stuff, it felt good. It didn't feel bouncy, and it felt like it soaked it up pretty good. I was just working with some preload, like had too much preload to get the front where I wanted it to. So I ended up going up 100 pounds on the upper spring.
I thought it was a lower. You just changed them. You tell us.
Yeah, no, it would be the upper spring.
Okay.
Because it was a 150 over 250. Now it's a 250 over 250. So.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, which sets it, as far as I can tell, sets it pretty dead nuts on where I need it to go. So we're going to try it out this next weekend.
Yep. No, this weekend in podcast.
Well, yeah, podcast life. We're going to try it out and see. But yeah, that's it'll get me a little bit more. No, it'll get me less preload, which will get me more suspension travel. Not travel, but like better rate throughout the entire stroke of the coilover.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I have another question.
Yes, for me?
Nope.
Oh,
for
good.
Chris.
Perfect. I'll go back to doodling.
You go back to doodling.
Yes.
Keep doing that race car, that race truck, that NAS truck you got.
Yeah.
So now that you're into rock crawling and you've built the truck more like kind of Ultra 4-esque, do you...
He's going to buy a Rock Lizard.
No, now that you're more into it, now that you're more into the hobby and more into wheeling in that nature, do you watch the Northwest Pacific videos, like from like Washington State? Do you watch videos of guys wheeling up there and be like, "Ooh, I want to go back home"?
Yeah. So a lot of Instagram too. There's a lot of guys from the Pacific Northwest that I follow on there, and they're posting all sorts of stuff that I had never even. It might not have existed. Some of those parks might not have been there when I was there, but yeah, I've seen all the stuff that they have now that they're hitting. I'm like, yeah, I'd like to take my truck back up there someday and
rocks there.
That is so high. See, this is going to be hard for me to pick one.
Yeah,
but the Pacific Northwest is probably in my top three places that I want to go wheeling.
So you want to go down? You want to go out west? So you want to go like Rubicon and like Moab, Sand Hollow.
Yeah, just like out in that area, get some like Western rock crawling stuff.
You want to go down south here to hit some stuff down there? And you want to do the Pacific Northwest?
I think Pacific Northwest is tied for the top. That's why I couldn't. I was going to say it was number one, but like out west doing some wheeling that way, on the like rocks and the desert stuff.
I think it's all on the list.
But like, man, dude, I follow a handful or so of people from the Pacific Northwest. Talk to them probably weekly, and like the wheeling they do, I had no clue was out there, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
That's how I felt about New Mexico when I all of a sudden, like when I started seeing stuff, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't think New Mexico, I just didn't think they had that kind of terrain.
Like the Pacific Northwest looks like very similar to here.
Mm-hmm.
Just everything's like
bigger.
10x. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. Like
the trees are like 80 feet tall. The rocks are 3 times the size. The snow is just epic.
The snow wheeling, I really want. I want a helicopter in,
ride with somebody,
and like land in somebody's backyard.
Yeah,
ride with somebody, and then helicopter out. Like I have no desire to take my own rig. I have no desire to like haul anything that far. I'm like, no, like because I think you have to have something set up and tuned so well for that. But God, what a blast that has to be,
dude.
Yeah. Yeah, living in Southwest Washington, that's where I grew up. Like I spent like 15 years there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I gotta agree with Ian. There's not many other places I could think are as scenic and beautiful as the Northwest. Like you have to deal with rain 10 months out of the year, but
so do we.
Those 2 months that you get where it's like
not
perfect, and it's a gorgeous part of the country for sure.
But that's probably why it's so gorgeous, is because it rains all the time.
Yep.
God, it's so wonderful. Things that we should definitely go do in our lifetime.
Yep.
I really want to go do the Rubicon someday. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to tow my rig out there
with a truck.
Yeah, I don't have one of those right now.
Well, so. You come.
Rubicon and Fordyce are two trails that I have on my bucket list that I'm trying to work towards.
It's not good when you listen to Wheelin' Wine and Whiskey or Snail Trail, and they're talking about going and doing it.
Yeah,
and then you see videos on the Snail Trail YouTube channel, and you're just like, you guys suck.
Yeah,
like must be nice to live where. Like you can just, we're going to go to Fordyce this weekend.
Or where there's public land where you can just pop off and hit some trails. Like we have to go to a park. Like I have never once been able to go, let's go off-road. Let's go off-road today.
Well, we have. It's just not been legal.
Yeah, you have to go. I got caught in a cornfield a couple times in my younger childhood days. But like, I just could not imagine. But I think it's very interesting to me because there's always the East versus the West, like pissing match on the internet. Who's got the better wheeling? And I'm like, bro, you're still wheeling. Like, how cool would it be out West if you just like, I'm going to drive. I just picture like you drive to the end of the street and like cross, like the road ends, but you just keep going. And you're like, now I'm off-roading.
That's quite literally how it is at my house. Like I go to the end of the neighborhood, look both ways on the side street, and then hammer down, and I'm off road, like open desert pretty much.
I watched a video the other day. It was a guy, he was literally driving down, it looked like a 2-lane divided highway, and I don't know where it was, but it was out west. It was a 2-lane divided highway, just driving along, and then all of a sudden just starts slowing down. I'm like, where the fuck's this guy going? Like there's literally nothing around. He like slows down, and then like there's a sidewalk on the side of this road, and then there's like open desert, and he just slows down and over the sidewalk, and then just and I mean he's just bombing into what looks like endless desert rock stuff.
Isn't that wild?
And I'm like, that is bullshit. Like, but
I want a refund.
But I think that determines what kind of rig you get into, because like I don't build mine to be able to drive on the street because I can go to a ditch down the road. But I can't just pop off over the sidewalk and go wheeling. So I have to put my stuff on a trailer and at least get it to where it's going to go. So you might as well go wild with it. But God, I love that Western, like, I'm just going to go wheeling this afternoon for a couple hours and go back home.
So much public land.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's, like you said, that definitely dictates like how you build it. So my truck, it's still, even though I got the link suspensions, coilovers, all that, it's still registered and tagged. And I'll like, I don't have a trailer, so I drive it everywhere. Like, we go to Moab, I'll hit the road for 6 hours in that thing, wheel it all week, and hopefully be driving it home. I have it, like, it's only been one time I've had to trailer it back because of
That means you did it
a
right.
broken drive shaft. But
yo, that's not that bad.
No.
Broken drive shaft. That's pretty goodable. That's pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm kind of like on the cusp of this is the most I could do and still keep it streetable, pretty much.
Are you 35 spline in the rear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you went to 30, and then the same with the front as well.
Yeah, the front I have their Dana 60 35 spline shafts, and it's like the 9905 unit bearings that I have bored out, and the Grizzly, the Yukon hardcore hubs.
Yeah, I was watching that video last night of you building the 609, and I was just like, oh my god, look how big those shafts are.
Yeah.
Even when you put two, the inside and inside together, it's nice. Just love it.
Oh man, that was like one of my.
Hey, here's my question: why didn't you just put the snap rings on the cross before you put it in? Would it not work?
No. So with the those U joints I was using the what are they called?
The Yukon super joints or whatever.
The super joint. You have to put them on the full circle ones. You have to put them on like a certain way, and the cross has like different reliefs in it. Yeah. So that's how my damn things like.
Yeah, that's how my full circle clip spicers are for my 44 shafts, and I was able to put I just put the snap rings on the cross, and then finagled the cross into the axle shaft.
Yeah,
with the Marta there. I was able to. I mean, I don't know. That's how I was able to do it. But maybe it's different for those giant ones you got. What size joints are those?
Oh man, I don't remember off the top of my head.
1410s or something. They're big.
Yeah,
whatever
big.
Super Duty stuff is.
So. Yeah, the axle shaft's definitely in a grenade before, like the ears on the shaft will go before those things ever think about scratching, even like.
Yeah, that's for sure. Nah, it's the phone. We're getting some feedback.
Oh, is it on my end or
no? Not usually.
We could blame you if you wanted to.
Yeah, we can.
I'm fine with it.
Or maybe it's my dog. She's going crazy with this squeaker toy right now.
I mean, I heard that a little bit. No, this is like a different noise. Do you hear it? Why is it doing that?
It's a sign that we should just fucking close this down and go wheeling.
Anyway. All right. How far are we into this?
47 minutes.
That's not a bad interview. That'll work.
Yeah, all it makes me want to do is go buy a little fucking rig that goes in the desert now.
Yeah, hey, if you guys ever anytime you come out here, let us know.
Oh yeah, I'm out there every couple weeks, so yeah, I'll definitely let you know.
Yeah, we'll swing by.
Anytime you guys are in the area, just come on over.
Yeah, I know there's nothing really to come.
Well, my uncle
in New Mexico. So.
My uncle and my grandmother moved down to Belen, so I have a reason to be in the area. Mm-hmm. I'll be right between you and Weston.
Drop off the wife and the baby, and then just go bombing in the desert.
Seemingly, I don't know how it's going to go over.
Maybe it's going to go over when you're like, oh, here, I'll drop you off at the door, honey. And, oh, yeah, grab the kid. Oh, yeah, get all your things. I'll go park the car.
Where'd he go?
Down the road. Here you go.
Here you go.
Yep.
Yeah, I would love to get Loki, throw it on a trailer and just drag it out there.
Oh,
even if you come visit, like, I got a passenger seat, so.
That too. There was times before I knew that you were in that area. There was times I was like, I could just fly out there to Albuquerque, get my uncle to pick me up, and then just call Weston and be like, so, where are we going wheeling?
Yeah.
You are close enough. Come pick me up. All righty. Well, let's wrap up this interview, and we'll get on to a last call. How do you feel about that, Ian?
I like it.
Okay. Well, Chris, thanks so much for coming on here, buddy. We appreciate you.
Yeah, guys, it was fun. Appreciate you guys' time, and talk again soon.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like a plan. I think we got a little something for our listeners coming up. So you guys tune into the midweek mini. It's going to be good stuff. What do you think?
I like it.
Okay.
I'm excited about it.
All righty. Well, thank you, Chris. And we will talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
All right. See you. Last call. How'd you like talking to Chris? Did you learn anything?
Makes me want to go fast and go wheeling. Like, I just drive to the end of my road and like we go wheeling. Like, damn it.
Bullshit.
It's crap.
It is.
Fucking
It'd be
public
nice.
land, my ass.
Yeah. I wish we had public land right
We
here.
do. It's called
farm ground.
farm ground.
It's not public.
Yeah. Seemingly
It's
somebody
private.
owns that.
All of it.
And yeah.
You got a ditch, and if you get in it, they'll get pissed off at you.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. Like, the problem with that is literally like, even if it was public land,
Yeah.
what the fuck? I don't want to go to a mud, like a cornfield.
Mud.
It was great when I was 17 years old and done
Right.
shit with a 4-wheel drive pickup that was stock on 31s. But like now I'm just like, ew, there's
If there was
mud.
public ground, if say there was 100 acres of forest ground
Mhm.
somewhere in this area, say within the county, you would still go there.
Nope.
Yes, you would.
You want to know why?
Why?
So the cliffs,
Yeah.
have you heard that debacle?
Oh, yeah.
They're being,
We talked about it.
they're applying for the grant.
Yeah.
Well, the grant says that there's nobody other than a side-by-side or an ATV that's allowed on the property.
I know.
So
Why?
that's why, because it's somebody,
Insurance?
I think Chris posted, it's how the land is paid for with the grant, because that money comes from, there's like a fee that is associated with registering or purchasing a side-by-side or ATV
Oh.
that is for off-highway public land.
Oh, I see.
Whereas your registration for your vehicle does not pay into that fund.
It's ridiculous.
So they tell you to go pound sand because your registration allows you to drive your vehicle on the road
Huh.
and is paid towards, like when you register your
Roads.
off-road rig, if you never drive it on the street, you're paying for the roads.
Which is why Indiana has the
Off-highway
OHV.
vehicle permit. Now, Illinois does not have that because
they're
we don't
stupid.
have any public land
I know.
essentially that like, oh, buy it. It's not like Johnson Valley where you go buy, because that's what Johnson
Right.
Valley, you got to go buy a permit
To do that.
to recreationally off-road.
Really?
Illinois, but they have plenty of opportunities for that, where Illinois, it's like, there'd be like 12 people.
No. There'd be like thousands of people, but there's nowhere to go.
Well, that's what I mean.
Like,
Like if they
yeah.
opened, and here, buy this permit and you can go to the cliffs if you have a truck.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, or like, yeah.
Great.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But there's so many other places.
Well,
There
there
are
are
closed
options.
down. There are like
Mhm.
so many closed down quarries.
Yep.
That are now campgrounds.
Yep.
That could have been turned into an off-road park.
They just don't care.
They don't care.
It's
Well, like
Illinois.
there's nobody for it.
No,
Yeah.
that's the thing. You're not
Which
gonna,
is crazy. You have Chicago.
Yep.
Chicago is one of our largest listening bases.
Yep.
How is it that that's one of our largest listening bases? And then they think that Illinois doesn't have off-road in it.
Here's the thing. You could go to a Michigan, you could go to an Iowa
Mm-hmm.
or Wisconsin
Mhm.
if you're in Chicago and still be closer than if you went to Southern Illinois.
True.
That's the caveat.
That's one of them.
You live in
But
Chicago.
there's quarries up. There's like closed down quarries up in
Mhm.
Chicago, like up that area.
Welcome to politics, bud.
It sucks.
So,
Somebody
Yes.
become a lawyer and figure this out.
there ain't one guy that ain't going to change it. I promise you that. There's
Probably
too
not.
much money to not be made.
I don't like it.
I'm just going to move
Over it.
out of Illinois because you know what?
That's the easier solution.
Bye, Felicia.
Yeah, it's definitely the easier solution.
That takes money. You know what I don't
Yeah.
have? Money. Why?
Mm.
Because rock crawler.
Because buggy.
I
I built an off-road. I sold my off-road rig so I can move out of state so I can off-road.
Yeah. Seems like a fucking Ian plan if I've ever heard one.
So anyway, yeah, I definitely would be nice if we had public lanes to go play on, but we don't. So it's just one of them deals.
What do you do?
You guys aren't getting a beer this week because we're having coffee because it's. I mean, it is. We could drink a beer. Oh God, it's almost 1 o'clock.
Yep.
Jesus,
We've been partying it
we need
up.
to stop. We need to shut this down.
That's all I got. Make sure you guys tune in for some footage from the Trail Riders run.
We cut it extra short today. You got a lot of intro and a lot of.
We talked about all the things in the beginning.
We did. Yep, we covered most everything. I probably forgot something again. It's how I do things.
What do you do?
Wait till next week.
What you need to do, I was going to say this earlier and I forgot about it until now, so I'm glad it reminded me. I'm just going to write it down.
What is it?
It has nothing to do with this podcast. It's just things that I needed to do for this trip that I forgot about earlier.
Oh, we need to make a grocery list.
Grocery list?
Yeah.
For what?
Like, are you taking groceries?
Well, I'm going to buy myself food, yes.
I know, but I'm trying to figure out if I want to hang out with you guys at the camp, like, what are you taking?
Oh.
What am I taking? Like, if you buy this and I also buy this, like, we have extra of this.
And we've never had too much food.
Probably not. Not when I'm around.
I like to eat.
I like to eat.
We're going to have some chili. Hopefully we get some people getting some chili cook-off.
Cook-off.
Hell yeah, that's going to be exciting.
Uh-huh.
I saw a picture of a scottle that's definitely needs to be used to make chili.
A scottle?
Yeah.
Who has that?
Can't tell you.
Who the hell has a scottle?
I think Kyle Bing was the one that built this. It was like a $20 scrapyard scottle build that he's done.
Oh my god.
It's pretty dope.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. I would really like to find the end of a propane tank and lob one off and make one out of that. I've seen people do that before.
Oh, really?
Like the big, 100-gallon tanks, you take the end off.
Scottle.
Be fucking pimp.
Be huge.
Well, what's it like? Why not have a Mondo scottle?
I don't know.
Like I don't camp with my rig, so I'm throwing it in a damn tow rig or the trailer, so I don't care how big it is. Yeah, a fucking trailer mounted scottle.
Uh-huh.
That'd be pimp, actually.
Trailer mounted scottle.
Dude, have like this 12-foot scottle.
Big. It'd be so big that you could literally...
I could cook breakfast for the entire campsite.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Campgrounds.
Because how big would that be? 36 inch?
Huge.
Big.
Yeah, it'd be pimp.
At least 36 inches.
Gangster.
Yeah, it's gangster, all right.
I don't do shit half-ass. I do it all the ass.
Scottle life.
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Hibachi scottle.
Hibachi scottle.
Hey, you get egg for breakfast. Yes.
Yes.
That would be so pimp.
Hibachi.
Now I just want some shrimp.
I do too. Want some hibachi. The hibachi place is closed down.
Yep. You can get it to go.
Where?
At Oishi.
Oh, yeah.
They offer carry out.
Yeah. It's okay.
I don't know what to tell you.
There's better. I want Mongolian.
Okay.
That's what I want.
I don't know what to tell you. Sorry about you.
They're all gone. Okay. We're going to shut this down?
That's all I got.
Okay. Go check out the Trail Riders page on Facebook, and then go check out the places you can find us anyway. Our YouTube, Total Off-Road Podcast on YouTube, Total Off-Road Podcast on TikTok, Total_Offroad_ Podcast on Instagram. You can check out my personal page, Steve_Total.
Good Lord. That's like the 8th time you fucked it up.
I'm out.
_KEE_XJ for Steve. Mine's an Offroad _Ian. It's literally printed on the show notes we have in front of us. Yeah,
I'm out of it.
Just Google Total Off-Road Podcast.
That too.
It's on there.
You'll find us.
Website, totaloffroadpodcast.com. It has a link to everything that we've just told you.
Yep.
In case you, like Steve, have forgot what we were talking about.
It's time to go home.
Buy your merch. Don't forget you can order that for customer pickup. So that's how you guarantee that I have it, because things go quicker than you think.
Thanks for sticking around for another long episode of the Total Off-Road Podcast, and we'll catch you on the trail.